long-awaited regular meeting to order. February 5th, regular school committee meeting at the Valley General Educational District High School. And we'll start the evening with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask the superintendent for the fire department, right?
Sure. In case of emergency, there are two exits located to my left, right over here. Go straight down the hallway, look for the red exit signs. If that's blocked, we can go right through this door, take a left, and through Health Club out the door and follow the exit signs on that.
We have minutes from our regular session on January 8th. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second to approve the January 8th minutes. Any questions, comments, changes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention. Motion carries with one abstention. We have approval of the warrants. Warrants are up here if anyone hasn't had the opportunity to sign. Is there a motion to approve and sign the warrants?
So moved.
What was that?
Tim.
Tim, okay. And then second, Don? All right. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Correspondence? No correspondence this evening? You snuck in, I didn't see you come in. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You're up.
Okay. Since my last report, everything has been continuing to go well at school. I've not sent out another survey yet since the first one, but I plan to produce different questions to ask on the next survey and meet with Mr. Packard to get it sent out. I also hope to get more responses in the next one than we did the last one. The Leo Club recently made Valentine's Day cards for residents at Overlook, and both the NHS and the Leo Club will be volunteering at the Southbridge Lions Club Cartoon Character Breakfast this weekend on Sunday. The Renaissance Club also sent out the t-shirt design submissions last week, and there were almost 20 amazing submissions that students were able to individually rate on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. And also Skills USA district competitors have been chosen within the shops to compete here at BayPath on March 13th. I'll be competing in the medical terminology portion. And the boys basketball and cheerleaders senior night is tomorrow night here at BayPath against Auburn. The girls basketball senior night was on Friday, where they won once again. And this win makes them the Colonial League champions. And the girls and boys teams have both had amazing seasons, and the games are extremely fun for the students to attend and watch.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Kirsten?
Kristen, is this your first time trying skills?
I competed last year in medical terminology as well.
Okay. Did you make it through districts?
No, I just competed at the districts.
All right, this is the year.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good. Everything must be getting exciting now for the senior class.
Yeah.
You know, the upcoming festivities with prom and everything else.
Yeah.
College applications going good?
Yeah, they're going good.
Good. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll move on to old business. We have one item under old business, and that's a prep period update from the conversation I believe that was held on December 4th.
Yes. So through the chair, as I said, in December, I would speak with the individuals, the lead teachers of the construction trades, and talk about the prep periods, any concerns they had, any suggestions, any comments. I met with all, as well as Principal Packard. We met with the lead teachers of each one of the construction trades, had great conversations, there's an understanding, and more importantly, lines of communications are open to listen to any concerns or any suggestions on how things can operate. Conversations went extremely well.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Seeing none? Oh, Don, go
Sorry,
ahead.
can you expand a little bit about what you agreed to? You know, obviously the prep period was the whole topic of conversation, so could you expand about what they agreed to do or what you agreed to look into for the future?
Sure. So we talked about, that they can take a prep if they want to take a prep either in the morning or in the afternoon on that. That, you know, if they want to go straight to the job site, they can go straight to the job site. If they have suggestions on how things can work better in the future, they have lines of communications open, they can make those suggestions. There's an understanding that there's an ebb and flow to things. Again, if they want to go straight to the job site, they can do that, make arrangements, you know, to catch up when they come back, and do that. There's a lot of aspects and a lot of different things that happen, you know, so again, if you have sports players on your job site, you're bringing them back early to get to a game. If you're a coach, you're coming back early to get to a game on that. You know, so there's ebb and flow, and there's understandings of those, so we'll work together going forward on that. Absolutely.
Okay, we'll move on to citizens' participation. Is anyone here this evening for citizens' participation? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. And under new business, we have item A, approval of the FY25 preliminary school budget. The school committee, the budget subcommittee did meet prior to the regular meeting and did recommend to move the proposed budget forward to the full committee, so the superintendent will run through the presentation.
To the chair, as the chair stated, the budget subcommittee, the superintendent director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to approve the FY25 preliminary budget as presented. So again, we'll go through it. Our funding sources are Chapter 70 and 71 estimates that are based on the government's budget that was submitted this year, January 25th, 2024. Our estimated Chapter 70 funding for FY25 is $14,453,612. And our estimated Chapter 71 funding for FY 2025 is $1,308,294. That represents 80% of our regional school transportation, down 10% from last year, and last year was 90%, up almost 40% from previous years. So they're working towards 100%, not quite there yet, but it's hopeful. These are preliminary estimates. They're subject to change as our budgets and the governor's budget, more importantly, moves through the House and the Senate. So the impact on BayPath, we show FY25 and FY24, our Chapter 70 is roughly $14.45 million. Last year was $14.21. That's an increase of $234,332. Minimum contributions this year, $11,225,779. That is up $530,546 from the previous year. And our required net school spending, again, net school spending on our operational budget is $25,679,391. That is up $764,878 over the previous year. Financial information. So it's important to note, although the assessments are at the minimum, the required minimum contributions that each town must pay have gone up collectively by $530,546,000. Our member town transportation assessment has been reduced by our regional transportation reimbursement fund by $600,000. Did we?
I missed one, I
We
apologize.
missed one, that's what I thought. I'm experienced doing this. So our total budget, operating budget, is $29,173,197. Our member town assessments are at the minimum, and our budget includes debt service assessment of $1,552,023. And again, our operational budget does not require any funds above the minimum contributions by our member communities. Total member assessments are $12,932,626. Now, the next one. Let's skip that one. We talked about it. Chapter 70 revenue is $14.45 million. School choice assessment is $296,335. So that comes out of our operational budget. Our Chapter 71 busing aid, again from the town at 80, from the state at 80% is $1,308,294. With closures and $75,000 from our excess and deficiency to pay down our OPEB liability. That's up $25,000 from 2 years ago. And we'll use $100,000 from excess and deficiency to fund our net school spending obligation as So, budget in a snapshot, right here, you can see chapter 70, we take out school choice, 296, we received that, but have to pay for students that go into vocational schools in other districts. Our assessment minimum contribution, again, is 11.2 million. Our E&D comes out for OPEB, 75,000, and our E&D spending on previous years, 100,000 for operation budget of $25,558,056. Our transportation total for next year is $2,063,118. We're getting 80% of that. We're contributing $600,000 from our transportation reimbursement fund, which leaves $154,824 to be assessed to our 10 member towns. Our principal and our interest, again, our principal is higher than our interest. This is the second year in a row, so you'll see that trend going forward. Total is $1,552,023. Our bond assessment, sewer benefit fees have been zero. Our total budget for assessments is $29,173,197. We add back in our school choice. Total operating budget with school choice is $29,469,532. Again, take that out. So our budget for assessment is $29,173,197. Our budget highlights. Our budget for next year includes the addition of a full-time assistant principal position. We'll add a vocational aide in our shops to help out with the increased need there. We have an intern, which is a co-op position for our IT department. This funds a one-to-one initiative for student technological devices, as well as the associated software that goes along with that. So again, providing every student a device that they use and take home with them, and including a cache of computers that we use for testing, so we don't have any security protocol breaches with that. These include wage increases in accordance with our CBAs, and it includes an increased cost for transportation. Our transportation, which we'll approve later this evening, has gone up with the new contract, and the first time in many years we've seen an increase in our health insurance as well, 8%. We'll continue to use the SOA funds that have been baked into our foundation budget to address professional development for all our staff, especially geared towards the focus group of the SOA, social emotional learning, English language learners, and to address chronic absenteeism. And also our SOA funds are to provide programs that meet the needs of our most vulnerable students, our after school, our care program, our Bridge the Gap, and our MCAS support groups on those, again, for our most vulnerable students, populations, to close that achievement gap. It also includes money for professional services for our fields. We'll keep that going. It includes textbooks, both digital and print, for many of our vocational programs, and significant shop equipment investments for, oh, we got the old one up here. Disregard the shops. This is the previous one, but it's a CNC miller control and a surface grinder, a CNC router, and a dust collector for cabinet making. And virtual welding is from Metal Fab. There's a virtual welding booth, and rotating bake oven and freezer are for culinary. FY 2025 freshman seat allocation is based off the capital population of each one of our member towns. Our total capital population for our 10 member towns is 17,747. We take the individual capital population from the towns, and we calculate the ratio. And that's how the 325 seats for our incoming freshmen are allocated. Foundation enrollment for BayPath, for each one of our 10 member communities, our total foundation enrollment as of October 1st, this past October 1st, was 1,243. Remember that all schools operate on the previous year's enrollment, so October 1st of the previous year, and that's a comparison of FY 24. So you can see either an increase of 14 students for enrollment at BayPath, Charlton is going down 15 students, Dudley is seeing 2 less students, North Brookfield increased 2, Oxford decreased to 4, Paxton 5, Rutland increase of 12 students, Southbridge a decrease of 5, Spencer 7, and Webster, so an increase of 11. So this is school attending children report. We go back 11 years now. We'll start cutting that off so this is more legible up here. But it shows the trend of school-age children in all of our 10 communities and what's happening. The big picture is, in the 11 years we've been keeping track, in our 10 towns, we've seen a reduction of school-age children by 1,700 students, and individually, year over year. So this year over last year, we see decreases in school-age children enrollment in most of our 10 towns. Significant 53 students in Auburn, 72 in Charlton, Dudley 54, North Brookfield 2, Oxford 6, increase in Paxton and Rutland, significant in Rutland of 95, Southbridge a decrease of 16, Spencer and Webster 43. And those populations are important because that's how we assess transportation, based on foundation enrollment, and debt services based on capital population. So we show again our 10 towns, their minimum contributions right from the state. Cherry sheet is shown here for a total minimum contribution from our 10 towns of $11,225,779. Foundation enrollment with the ratio of our total. Auburn is 10.54% of our total foundation enrollment. We multiply that by the total transportation assessment of $154,824. Auburn's share is $16,317, and we just do that all the way down. Capital population is used to get the ratio for each one of our 10 towns, and that is then multiplied by the total debt assessment of $1,552,023. So again, using Auburn as an example, they're 15.17% of our total capital population. Their share of debt service is $235,510. We add together minimum contribution, transportation assessment, and debt service, and we get the total assessment per town. Auburn, $1,732,211. Our 10-town total is $12,932,626. And then we break out all 10 towns. Again, you can see a comparison for FY25, FY24. So there's been an increase or decrease in those, and do the percentage increase for each one of our 10 towns. So again, all of this pulls off previous slide, minimum contribution. You see that it went up 227,000 and change for Auburn. No assessment above the minimum. Transportation, you can see that Auburn had a 19.56. Sounds big, it's 2,670 over the previous year. Debt service went down. You'll see that going down for all our towns, and there's a comparison there. So again, we'll see Charlton, Dudley. Yep. So yeah, Charlton's going up 0.11%, Dudley 3.96%. North Brookfield's going up 11, Oxford's going down 2.75%. Paxton's going up 19.25%. Rutland going up 21.55%. Southbridge is going down 2.79%. Spencer's going down 5%. And Webster's going up 9.39%. And again, our grand totals, total minimum contribution, 11.2 million, transportation, 154,824,000, debt service, 1.55, for a total assessment of 12,932,626, for an overall increase of 4.36%. Questions?
Under budget highlights, one of the things I didn't catch before was the one-on-one initiative for student technology devices. So every student's going to have a iPad or whatever it may be.
It's either Chromebook or a Microsoft Lenovo or, yeah.
And they're responsible for returning those, or those going to be there?
We're looking at
daily
it.
thing, or?
Absolutely. Yes, so they're not theirs to keep and take home when they graduate. They're theirs to take home, use throughout the years here, and then return it back. we're looking at different outright purchase, has plus and minuses, or a lease. The lease program, we turn them back over, they're not ours. A lot of leases include a dollar buyout, so you can buy them out if you need to at the end. A lease has a lot of, again, pluses and minuses. If it breaks, we just give it back to them, they send us a new one. Outright purchase is a higher cost, and then if it breaks, the additional costs there and things. So again, we're looking at the cost benefit of the lease outright purchase. If we outright purchase, it's, do we stagger it? Because to replace in the future 1,500 is, so do we break it up and purchase, X many this year, X many next year? And this,
So whatever device it is that we end up purchasing or leasing, how well is that going to work with our current systems and software?
So, good question. That's what we look at. But most of the stuff we have can go on either platform, Google or Microsoft, on that. The trades will still keep, graphics will still keep their Mac computers. That's trade specific, and to run those programs, our devices won't do that. Just like CAD, those will be desktop, double monitor, they'll use those. So these are more for the day-to-day. iPass, which we moved to, and all that will work on either device.
So we're sticking with Microsoft for the time being, correct?
Yes, through this year, and again, we're assessing the plus or minuses. Like I said, some, again, the devices are anywhere from $600 to $700 for Microsoft, and for Google it's $250. And then we're looking at the total cost of the software, Microsoft, what we pay year over year, Google, what we pay on that as well.
Okay. The other device that you mentioned, is that more compatible with Microsoft? Would you say it was a Microsoft device?
Which one?
Not the Chromebook, but the
It could be any number of, it could be an HP, it could be a Lenovo, it could be an Asus. We'll look at, which one's the best bang for the buck on that. And that's where what's compatible, how much RAM, how much memory, things like that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, from a network standpoint, network can support additional load.
TJ is on that committee, and we rely on our director of IT, right? So we go back and forth. But yeah, either one, works on it, and we're fleshing all that out.
Any other questions? If there are none, would anyone like to make a motion to recommend the proposed budget?
Second.
I missed who made the motion. Ben?
Ben.
Okay. And you seconded. Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And we have our hearing at our March meeting.
March
Budget
is the
meeting.
public.
Okay. The public hearing will be prior to the regular March. Item B under new business, award of bid of transportation services.
Through the chair, the superintendent, director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to award the contract for transportation services for July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027, with two optional one-year extensions for FY28 and FY29 to first student as follows. There's a table right there, and the bid docs are included as well in your packets for the specifics on that. In a nutshell, we went out to bid. Two picked up the bid packages, two attended the mandatory meeting that they had to attend. Only one first student submitted a bid on it. So we vetted through that, and we had good success with first student. We vetted their vendor reports and this and that. In all honesty, there have been some issues with meeting our number of buses and cancellation of buses on a day basis. It's nothing that we haven't seen nationally with the bus driver shortage on that. So we've been addressing that. We've been assessing that, the contractual fees to get a sub in there to do that. We've been working with them. But again, we vetted out, from some of the other letters that they have and submitted on that. So we feel confident that they can meet our needs, and they do, in their bid package, include increases for their drivers in hopes of bringing on more trained drivers on that and meeting those needs so that we don't have those shortages.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any questions?
Yeah, through the chair. Could you just go over that piece again, their drivers increases? Are you saying that if they settle a contract, then all contracts then work with them or?
No, so, sorry. Yep.
No, that's what I thought you were.
Yeah, no, they've included increases for their drivers in their contracts. You know, so, right, so their
Okay.
drivers will see an increase. It's all about including and trying to get the drivers in there and train. You know, and it's really kind of like fickle now with the shortage of drivers. So, and with RSV, COVID, with flu season, we get a call that they don't have a driver for this, so we're scrambling to find it. We are assessing them the fees, that they call it a penalty, to cover the cost of getting either subcontractor in there or have one of our drivers drive it. So they are doing the same thing.
Okay, and then just a follow-up to the chair. How many emergency drivers do we have on staff here at the school?
No emergency, do we have one emergency driver?
Sally.
Sally is our, I was gonna say, we don't have an emergency driver. Sally, yes, she's the transportation coordinator, and she's fully licensed, and she has been picking up a lot of routes, which is not ideal, so we're hoping that with the increase of first student, that they'll get more drivers, and we won't see that. We're looking at currently our bus drivers, you know, in the fees on us, the rates that we pay our bus drivers as well.
Okay, and just another follow-up, I know I said that was the final one, but would it behoove us to look inside for someone who may get licensed and help us out in the gym so that Sally's not out of her office? I know that we used to have someone in that position.
We did, so I'm looking, so we did have a custodian, moved on to a different position. He was, we had him as a licensed, school bus driver's license, and I think we have are we sending a custodian for training, or?
Not currently. It's on the table. It's something we've talked about. We haven't moved forward with it for a couple of reasons, but yeah, no, George, we would in fact like to have at least one other person. We're approaching that cautiously. It's definitely
Oh,
on
we
the
did,
table.
we did have a custodian, Matt, and he was, he had a great fill in, and, yeah, and the pension was great, so yeah, we are looking at that.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item C under new business, surplus equipment.
Through the chair, the superintendent director, the school business manager, and the vocational director recommend the school committee vote to place one out of calibration Micro Heights 600 valued at $500 on the surplus equipment list to be disposed of according to the school committee surplus equipment policy, using the most appropriate method available.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I made a motion. Bob seconded it. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item D under new business, mid-year update on superintendent's goals.
Through the chair. Everybody should have a copy and put it up. All right, so as discussed, my mid-year report, based on the goals that were submitted earlier this year, we go to the next one, or scroll down, I think you gotta scroll down. Right. So goal 1, student learning goal, instructional leadership, develop a high-functioning unified district leadership team with a shared vision and mission centered on highly effective teaching and learning. If you want to overview everything. This high-functioning unified team will develop a vision of excellence for teaching that includes engagement and calibration rigor to the standards, support for active learning, a culture of resilience, high expectations, and a safe and supportive learning environment where all students feel comfortable taking academic risks. So to date, completed August administrative retreat, we held that. We had a planning meeting to develop our team goals. We shared all our goals out with the staff, and we housed our rolling administrative meetings minutes available to all our staff as well. And those are, every month we go through those. So September to January, bi-weekly administrative team meetings. Again, our agendas and our minutes are shared with the staff, and that's on a rolling basis, so you can go back to September if you so desire, right up to the current meeting. September to October, analysis and presentation of MCAS data results. School committee, we made that presentation to school committee, and we made a presentation to our staff on the MCAS data. Where we are, we own our data, and where we want to go with that, and how we're going to get there. And again, provide professional development on universal design for learning, and we had consultant Tara Draper come in November, and she is due in March for our next go-around. In progress. February to June, bi-weekly administrative, we'll continue those team meetings, develop on UEL. Our second session is planned for March. We took some feedback from the first one. We have some that are advanced learners on UEL. They have knowledge of it, they're implementing it, so what can we do more for them? They wanted us to breakout session on that, and then where the newcomers are. So we're looking at how we can best meet the demands for PD on UEL. Schedule learning walks with administrators throughout the year. So we're building the culture to support this initiative. The norms and protocols are being developed at this time. So we talked learning walks, we talked a lot of initiatives, and let me start off really excited working with the administrative team and the initiatives that we've gotten off the ground this year and where we're going on it. So on this one, we're walking before we run, and crawling before we run. So we did share out some norms on that, and we shared out some expectations on it, and we are easing into that. Going into the classrooms can create some anxiety while they're here, what are they doing? Again, if you're familiar with learning walks, they're not evaluative. So they're just to see what's working, what's not working, some glows on that. But again, if you're not familiar with it, it can create some anxiety walking straight in without sharing out and without calibration. Our team, administrative team, is calibrated. We started the calibration on what is exemplary, what is meeting expectations, and where are some grows, and we'll continue doing that work on that as well. Next one is compile and record data for leadership learning walks to inform calibration. So again, I'm jumping ahead. We've been sharing the observation data and instructional trends, our look fors. What should we be looking for when we walk into a classroom? What is high quality teaching and learning? What is, probing questions and things like that. We shared that out, and we continue to create a continuum for high quality teaching practices on that. Shared course values. So we're scheduled for February and March as part of our district goals. That's the strategic plan that we're talking about. And looking at our mission, looking at our vision, how we update that. Is it current? Is it what we want? And again, we'll be putting the stakeholder teams together for that as well. Improvement goals, standard 2, management and operations. Work with the district leadership team to utilize data to inform decision-making in our efforts to build an environment that provides high-quality teaching and learning and a shared understanding of how, by focusing on the analysis and application of student data, we can improve the learning outcomes for all students. So, establishment of stakeholder committees to review and assess current systems and processes. This is where I talked about a lot of initiatives and a lot of things going on. So our student information system, we're looking at, Microsoft versus Google, we're looking at our schedule, and we're looking at all our practices, really. Power School was selected by the leadership and the committee put together. So that's our student information system. We put that out to bid. We had a comprehensive review of the 2 proposals on that, and we selected Power School to best meet our needs. That is all underway. All our schedulers, our master schedulers, our guidance counselors, and the administrative team had training just last week. And, we continue on that, and we're moving that forward. We expanded our capacity for TeachPoint. So TeachPoint is our evaluation system. By looking at that, we've been kind of an archaic keeping track of PDs and, PD hours as well as credit hours for what our teachers do. Vector has that. So right inside that, we can create the PD, our teachers can sign up for the PD they want to go to, and when the PD is completed, they simply fill out a feedback form on it, and the credits are issued right there, and they have their own place to keep track of all their PD, and they can upload the credit hours. Currently, it doesn't automatically, but any PD offered by the school will be put right into that system. And we put a committee together to look at our schedule as well. So again, open it up to the teachers, and anybody who volunteered to sit on that is on it, and we're working on that. Recommendation and implementation of staff absence management software, again, another system. It was a system of phone calls, and it was pretty archaic. Call here, call there, there was, I think at one point, just one number you needed to call and report in. So we looked at a system, put a team together. Frontline ASOP does that. So it's an absence reporting system. You just go on, you can put in your pre-scheduled time, so rather than filling out papers that get filed and moved and stuff, if I know I'm gonna be out 3 weeks from now, if I know I'm gonna be out 4 months from now, I can go to the system, put it in. It's either, I got a doctor's appointment, or I'm taking a personal day, or it's a vacation day, I can put that in, and it goes to the right approver. Immediate supervisor and those that need to know that'll be out. You can go in, review it, submit, approved, or it also has a spot that you can put in, I need a substitute, I don't need a substitute, so that helps us with coverages and all that. So we signed a 3-year contract, let's jump ahead. So that was selected, it was implemented in a flash cut on December 1st. So if I do say so, it's a fairly good flash cut. We are still working out some initial bugs on that and narrowing it down. So we'll move forward with that. Recommendation, implementation of discipline tracking. Updated policies that comply with state and federal laws and mandates are in alignment with our bargaining agreements and ethical conflict of interest laws. So as you know, we just signed a 3-year contract with Mass to start that involved in the process, and we'll be updated in the next 3 years. Recommendation and implementation of the discipline tracking and restorative practice software system in compliance with DESI regulations. So again, working with our admin team and those involved deeply and intimately with discipline, we selected Navigate 360 and signed the contract for that. In progress, establishment of stakeholder committees to review and assess current systems and processes. Again, we talked about what's done, the student information system, Microsoft versus Google. So we have that team, we're looking at cost benefit, we're looking at the pluses and minuses of all of those, and we hope to have that decision by the end of the year so we can look to move forward on that. Recommendation and implementation of a new student information management system. Historical data is being transferred right now, so we have PowerSchool, we selected that. Our historical data is being transferred over, our master scheduling is being put together on that, and we have future PD established for our staff. Our admin and master schedulers have been trained on that. Establishment of student leadership opportunities where students will meet directly with the superintendent and principal to discuss improvements. We sent out a communication to all our students, and we asked for those who are interested in sitting on the superintendent principal advisory committee to help talk about the current culture, where do they want to see us go, what's working well, what's not working so well, where can we improve. We had 21 immediately respond to that. We said 20, we're not going to reject. All 21 are signed up, and this Thursday at 8 o'clock we'll be meeting. So we have 4 meetings scheduled for the rest of the year, breakfast meetings with them, and we'll talk about the climate and the culture of the school and what needs need to be met for our students. Recommendation, implementation of new accounting software system. So again, SoftWrite is pretty dated. We know we have to update that. That'll facilitate a whole lot of things. Right now, if you want to know how much time have I accrued, what do I have left, how many sick days, you've got to email someone, they're going to go in, pull that out, and email it to you. Our new software system will take care of all of that and bring it together, as well as update our accounting systems. We're soliciting 3 qualified proposals for that, because that would be under $100,000. And once we have those 3 qualified proposals, we'll make a selection and move forward on that. Family and community engagement, provide professional development to staff, universal design for learning, having the administrative team focus on identifying new strategies and practices during observations in school will increase inclusive practices for all students, thereby increase a sense of belonging and well-being. So what's completed, implemented, and monitoring of the School Student Opportunity Act. So that's the current Student Opportunity Act that's online on DESE's website. That sunsets at the end of this year. In April 1st, we have a new SOA that needs to be submitted to DESE on that. So we continue to monitor where we're at, where our current plan, both financials as well as what's working well and meeting the needs. We're going to build upon our practices, or we continue to build upon our practices for social emotional learning strategies and behavioral supports, the multi-tiered systems of response, MTSS. So we put together an SST team. That's all our counselors and our administrative staff for guidance as well as people services. They meet weekly and talk about students in crisis, where they are. It's a safe area. It's confidential. Everybody in there has a need to know, because if I'm the counselor for Joe and I'm out, then Jim can pick up counseling services if Joe needs a crisis.
It happens.
So we continue to work on that. That SST has been working very well, and we continue to develop and implement Upright, which is bridging resilient youth transitions. So as you know, we opened up our Upright program. It's currently staffed with PCBA and another counselor up there, and these are for students that are in crisis or on return from a home and hospital. It's an easy transition in. It's not a place where they go and they can spend the entire day. So initially, it's a lot of services, and then every day we try to trim that down and give them the supports to adjust and get back to class. So they can work on their schoolwork, their classwork while they're up there, and get the services they need, and again, to get them re-regulated and back into the classroom. Provide PD on bullying, IEP 504, social, emotional, mental health issues. So we took care of a lot of that in our mandatory beginning of the year training, where we talk about 51As, we talk about Title IX, we talk about all of that, and we'll continue to offer those offerings. IEP 504, for the IEP, we put together a new team that is training the trainers. So they're learning all about the new IEP process, and then when they're done, I think there's 11 individuals on that team. Yep. When they're done, they will be offering that training to the entire staff. We work with student support services team to ensure our special ed staff and the admin team are aware of the students that need support. So again, this is a new IEP committee, 11 staff members to implement a robust data-driven plan for students. We're ensuring all communications to families are provided in multiple formats. So again, if you haven't noticed, I think we're on every social media platform, thanks to Mr. Packard. So our emails, our social media, consistently created and updated on those. And we continue to review and revise admissions policies and practices to ensure they're free of all barriers. Talked about this multiple times. Our admissions, they've been reviewing those to make sure that we mirror the demographics of our 10 member communities and that we're free of barriers for entry on those. So we continue to do that each year. As you know, we have to update our admissions policy on that, look at the data, and report out. Our new SOA, this is where I talked, new ones due April 1st, 2024. So we've attended the SOA guidelines and webinars. We were trained on what they're looking for. Again, it's much like a district strategic plan and district improvement plan, except it's more focused on our most vulnerable populations. And those are students with disability, our English learners, and our low income, and some of our student groups on that. So they put together a heat table that DESE did. So a heat table is, it takes the searching of where we need to focus. So when you look at it, red means those are in crisis. Those are our highest need students, yellow and green. So we have that, we're reviewing that, and our team's looking at it, as well as our focused instructional coach and our testing specialist and admin on where can we where can we address the highest needs and get the biggest return and close that achievement gap on our MCAS and all our other tests that we're performing. Creation of a 3-year strategic plan to guide Bay Path into the future. I think my data there got cut off. So the admin team reviewed minimum of 3 different strategic plans. We looked at what was involved in all of those from some of our colleagues, and we narrowed it down. I think it's kind of a hybrid. We picked the best of each one of those 3 plans, and we have a framework together. So now we'll flesh out this stakeholder committee, put them together, and start addressing everything that will go into that strategic plan for the next 3 years. Standard for professional culture, development of an initial framework for district strategic plan to facilitate continuous improvement. Strategic plan identifies initiatives in many areas of operations and takes a broad incremental approach to improvement. And I work with the leadership team to begin the critical work of planning for ongoing improvement across these areas. So again, I talked a little bit about that, but we'll see what's completed. Created a roadmap through multiple stakeholders to begin discussions centered on the future of Bay Path. So our school council advisory meetings provide information to inform our future planning for improving school culture. A culture of reflective practice and continuous learning is being developed through our data team and our focused instructional coaching, as well as the PD that we're providing. We utilize faculty meetings to celebrate student achievement, recognize teacher efforts. We have newsletters, social media. We celebrate staff and student achievements to a wide audience on that. Just some examples are the student who got a perfect score or the best score in Microsoft certification. So we put a blast on that. You can see our sports teams, who's winning, who's not, and things like that. Conduct collective bargaining with BPTA. We completed that in November. In progress, conduct learning walks, sharing data. Again, I say look at previous goal on that. We talked about that. Create a framework for a 3-year district strategic plan. So again, the admin team reviewed strategic models and selected a framework to begin the process. Our stakeholder teams will be identified in February and March. And again, the stakeholders we put together for our SMA, which is due in April, doesn't have to be a different group of stakeholders for our strategic plan. It's the same group that we can use so we can, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And we'll work collaboratively with building principal to create student leadership groups to elicit their feedback. Again, we talked about that, the principal, superintendent, student advisory. We have 4 meetings scheduled on that, and 21 students who are willing to jump in and help us out with that. And we continue to negotiate with the Secretaries Association and Unit M. Those are well underway on that. So in summary, systems and processes are being continuously evaluated for maximum efficiency. Curriculum has been inventoried and reviewed. A new curriculum mapping template has been created, and all programs have started updating the curriculum and moving it into a universal platform available to all. Communication and transparency are a core value of this administrative team. Communications are available on multiple platforms. They're appropriate, they're timely, and they're succinct. Team meeting agendas and minutes are shared and housed electronically in a rolling format for all to view. Continuous communication is universal in delivery throughout the Bay Path learning community. The administrative team has shown strengthening ties and strategic initiatives aligned directly with our district plan, and data is shared without judgment, and communications are focused on improving student learning outcomes. Decisions are made with input from various stakeholders on that. So again, I started with saying we're excited, very excited about the initiatives that are underway, addressing the curriculum, ensuring high quality teaching and learning is going on, and that we're all aligned in our efforts to meet the needs of all our students. And that begins, again, with some of our neediest or most vulnerable, I should say, most vulnerable students. Meeting those needs so that everybody is achieving at their highest potential. And when we do that, we've seen that that achievement gap closes. And again, we share the data without judgment. It is what it is, we own it. Sometimes it's not great, but collaboratively, what can we do? Right? What is it? What do we think is causing this to happen? Why aren't they achieving at that level? And we dive deep into that data and we pull it out. We have the system, we're putting, and we are developing the systems and processes for that. We have the teams together, so the focus instructional approach and curriculum. Number one is pulling together our curriculum and housing it in one location, and that we're all in alignment. That if I pick up the curriculum for math, it's pretty much the same format as the curriculum for ELA as it is for advanced manufacturing. Different content, but we know what we're looking for, kids aligned, and we're uniform, and we're focused on it. Our admin team put it together, we're coming together, we're getting on board, we're sharing out our goals, that's the biggest step, and being transparent on this. So I'm happy to give you my mid-year and answer any questions.
Questions
Good.
regarding the student learning goals. So what type of data will we be looking for, and when will that data be in front of us regarding us meeting some of those goals?
So MCAS is the biggest one right now, accountability data, the state report card on that. So MCAS is one part of the accountability data, but when we come out with the accountability, which they were looking to significantly increase absenteeism as part of every school, which fortunately there's Board of Education shot that down overwhelmingly, which is good because there's a lot of reasons students are chronically absent. We did get a grant, we are addressing chronic absenteeism. Just this February, we have the CARES program, which brings in students. We have over 30 signed up for it now. Some of those are ones we recommended based on MCAS data that we looked at, and did they pass, where do they stand on that, as well as those that have chronic absenteeism, because the state is allowing that to be used as recovery, day recovery. So 4 hours will get them a day on that. So that's the type of data, MCAS, accountability data, and again, that heat table shows us by subgroup. We can break it down by, if it's large enough to be measured, so if it's, Hispanic, if it's students with disability, that's the type of data we'll be looking at. It's all readily available. But putting our data specialists and our data team in place takes some of the onus off the individual teachers from where do I look, what do I do? They can take it down, they can break it down and then set up, present it like that, but more importantly, if you're interested, set up a meeting with them. I think just this afternoon, there were shared resources put out by our data specialists for all teachers so that the common house where they can go in and look at some of the best practices on that. Did I answer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking for, I did do some research, a few months ago to look at progress being made by area districts, ones that are similar to ours. And I was unhappy to see that we were like number 7 out of 7 as far as progress being made, with the highest being 80-something%, and we're down around 43. So obviously, we all know that, and that's why we're addressing the issue. I'm just wondering, do we have to wait for the MCAS scores to come out, or will that data team be able to look at student grades? I noticed something in the email this week regarding the number of freshmen who are failing at least 1 or 2 subjects. So will we be getting some of that data, and maybe some data across all 4 classes before the MCAS results come out?
Yes, so in my superintendent report last month, we put in the number of seniors that were failing. So we're looking at them, because obviously that's a high priority to get them across the stage. This late in the game, what do we do to get them back up? We always see a senior slide, but to see that slide in the first quarter or the second quarter is a big red flag. So we do look at that as that information comes out. In terms of looking at student grades, yes, we can look at who's passing, who's failing, but without common assessments, it's unfair to go across. So part of that curriculum, and everybody in the department being on the same page following core curriculum, we can come out with common assessments and look at that. So rather than having different curriculum for different levels of students, it should all be the same curriculum, just being taught with scaffolding. So everybody's held to the same standard. So it's not about, you have to jump higher, but put the supports in place. So once we get to common assessments, we can look at grades. What are we doing well, what aren't we doing? And look at the curriculum. We can look at pass-fail right now, we do. And that's why we know that number of freshmen are failing, and that's why we put together the CARES as part of that grant we have to, address that. So we have a teacher from each core subject coming in over February break. If it goes well, and we have the funding, we'll do it over April break as well. So that's catch up. If we have the data and we can see common assessments in place, that is proactive rather than reactive. So rather than us to make our session, we can look at where our curriculum is strong and where it's failing and address it before it happens on that. So a lot of different data coming out. But yeah, everything you mentioned, we're doing it.
Through the chair, no, I think that's great, and the more data, the better. And I think that it's gonna make us feel better about the position that we're in, or the position that we're climbing out of. I think it's gonna make the faculty, the staff feel a little bit better when they know that the plan is actually working. And to that note, when you talk about getting the administrative teams together, have we included department heads in any of this? You alluded to how it can be uncomfortable. People aren't used to seeing the learning walks. People aren't used to, even trying something different as far as curriculum, or getting that curriculum aligned. It can be uncomfortable. Change can be uncomfortable. So to that end, have we met with the department heads? Have they met with their underlings and discussed all of this? And again, so that we can all celebrate these small victories.
Yes, I would turn to Ms. Packard on some of the department head and Mr. Tripp on them, maybe with the vocational department heads and the academic department heads on those. So,
Yeah, through the chair, I mean, the department meetings we do monthly, we talk about all the things we're talking about as they stem out of our administrative team meetings. To your point, George, the progress monitoring is a huge element in the development for all learners. Also, the coaching aspect for teachers is also huge as well. In a prior district that I worked in, we did have progress monitoring that we utilized, not only common assessments, but we had a progress monitoring program software that we test individuals 3 times a year to maximize their understanding of the learning that they were doing. We're going to get there through the strategic plan. Right now, we're coming out of silos and all coming together and having a common understanding of scope and sequence, which is the single most important factor when it comes to students' academic success. You can't have individual teachers teaching something in one area and not another and have an inequity in regards to the curriculum that's being taught. So we're through our curriculum coordinator, through our instructional coaches, we're really making some progress there. We're meeting with department heads, we're meeting with teachers, we're filling toolboxes, and we're trying to build confidence around what high quality teaching looks like. That's going to bridge over into the shop area as well as we continue to morph and move forward. That's really exciting for me as an instructional leader, because once you start talking common languages, understanding of common denominators that we have to produce for learning expectations for each grade level, great things begin to happen. And I can see that slowly happening. We just can't expect it to happen overnight. We've got to make sure that each teacher has all the tools to be successful. We've got to make sure kids have clear expectations of what learning expectations are all about. And when we get there, I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised by where we can go. And that's really exciting experience.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything I can add to that.
So if everybody's on a different scale, it's hard to calibrate across all the different scales. So scope and sequence and curriculum and getting everybody on a common page makes it easier to measure across all.
And it's to no fault of where we're at right now. I just want to say that publicly. At the end of the day, we have to be able to take an inventory of where everyone's strengths are, what they're doing, build cohesive departments together. Once you start doing that and get your scope and sequence set, then the best practices come. Then we start talking about assessment, what assessment looks like, what good feedback looks like. All those things are important for overall learning. And those are going to happen in stages as we begin to move forward. And like I said, as we watch that incremental growth, good things, you're going to see the results of the work right in front of you, and that's when the buy-in really is created. And every teacher in this building needs to feel supported that we can get them to that level. And that's the beauty of the administrative team and what we have going on and all the pieces of the puzzle that we put together.
Now, there's a lot. And what we can't expect is sometimes we want all of it to happen. And as an administrative team, we're backing off. We're like, oh, we got to do this. And it's like, we've got enough we're focusing on now. So we're looking at the lowest hanging fruit and the one that we can get the biggest return for. And it's hard to hit a target We don't know what we're, aiming at. So that data tells us where to focus our energy, where we can get the biggest return and the biggest impact on those. The good thing about being where we are, we're gonna see some immediate increase in success, build success. So when we see that success, we'll celebrate that success. And then from that culture, it'll just keep going.
And just one more thing, and then I'm quiet for a while, this excites me. The strategic plan is going to be coming out. That is your roadmap for the next 3 years. That is where you build your incremental progress blocks of what is important for our students to understand and learn, what's important for our teachers, the curriculum, the assessments. Let's talk about, the shop, the vocational aspect of things. How do we build bridges across academics into the vocational world? What does that look like in common languages? When you have students have voice in all of this, you create that buzz, you create that feeling of, okay, we're all heading in the same direction together. And that's what great schools do. And it takes time. It does not happen overnight. It truly doesn't. I know that we're going to get there, and that 3-year plan is going to be a great roadmap with multiple stakeholders to have input on what that looks like.
Well said, thank you. Through the chair, just a couple of follow-ups, and I know I always say a couple. You made a good point, Kyle. You're not trying to jam this down people's throats. You didn't use that language, I'm using that term. But how is the buy-in looking right now? And then secondly, when we talk about goals, can we put a number on some of these goals? Can we put a number? I would like to see, my goal would be to be better than Pathfinder the way we used to be. Get out of that 7th spot and be back in the 6th spot. So I'm not saying that has to be the goal, but can we put a goal? Can we put numbers on these percentages? Can we say that we're going to climb the ladder and maybe at least take our spot back from Pathfinder, if not Tri-County, or maybe not Tri-County, but
I like the competition.
Okay. Yeah, no, not Tri-County, not Blackstone. I'm just looking to climb that ladder a little bit, but if we had a number to put on there when we set these goals, that would, again, give us something to celebrate and say, this is all working, and I think you may be able to get more buy-in. I don't know what the buy-in looks like right now. I honestly have had no conversation about it, but I just like small goals. I like to say, this is where we're gonna be at the end of this school year, MCAS aside.
Yeah. We'd be happy to put numbers. I don't think we can pick numbers right now because there's too many variables. And when we get the systems and processes in place, I think absolutely we can put numbers to that. Our measurements right now are, again, common housing where our curriculum is, a common scope and sequence so that we all know we should be here at this point in time and things like that. Once we put those together, it's all about climbing and it's all about, being better than the others and things like that.
And what I would just add to that is systems create results. I'm going to say that again. I'm not a huge proponent of state testing. I think state testing will take care of itself, and we have the systems in place that give the teachers the tools to be able to teach the children what they need, what they could be tested on. And that's not teaching towards the test. That's creating problem solvers and critical thinkers. If we really focus on those 2 types of thought processes in our educational platform, you're going to see that the systems will begin to evolve and the end results will be higher test scores. You're going to move up that traditional ladder, and you're going to have that opportunity to be that great school, that beacon school that people are going to want to follow.
I'll just throw one thread. You can see how excited he gets, how excited we get on this. The stakeholders in that strategic plan will bring in the voices of where they believe they can go. So those departments will come up and say, I think we can hit a 4% increase in this area, right? So they have to have a voice. I mean, that creates ownership too. If that team comes together and says, we can kick ass on this section, kick butt, and let's shoot for an 8% increase in, math on next year's MCAS, or on the common assessment midterm or final, or, things like that. So we want that voice from them. It's easier, they own it, you picked it, we'll go there. And where we are right now, that's without the judgment. And I'd rather see us fall short from a lofty goal and still make progress than, concentrate on absolutely hitting that bogey and the hammers and why didn't we get there? If we made that significant progress, we tried something new and, fell a little bit short, that's still a win. And that's where I think in these initial years, those little wins are going to build that success and build that confidence, and then it'll take off from there. So absolutely, everything, SMART goals are measurable, But in terms of like, what will be number 3, or what will be number 2, that will come. But right now, we've got to put the systems, our goals are, put this system in place, put that system in place, get these people in place. So if you saw those ads last year were support for our teachers, because it's about coaching, not evaluation. Evaluation is a coaching tool. How do we improve? What do you need? How can we help you on those? So those metrics will come initially. I'd hesitate to put a number and say we're going to increase by X percentage, or we're going to increase by X percentage on the to exceed this one.
And just one more piece to add. The strategic plan that we put together will be the finite area that we can focus on in order to create those goals, that growth. So right now, without that strategic plan fully in place, you've got people creating, you've got individuals creating goals that they can be moving towards a moving target instead of a finite target.
And to the chair, who developed the strat plan?
I'm sorry?
Who developed the strategic plan?
It is not developed at this point in time.
That's right. So we
So
reviewed.
you're talking about, I'm sorry.
That's what we're going to be looking to bring the stakeholders together moving forward. It's going to come out in the month of March. We'll be having information coming out to all stakeholders in the learning community. We'll share the framework, and we'll get any individual who wants to be part of this. And we'll put together subcommittees, and we'll build consensus. We'll build consensus around high-quality learning for students and support for teachers.
Right, so if I backtrack, we did review 3 strategic plans from colleagues, what they're doing, where they're at. And our team picked the framework. It's kind of a hybrid of this looks good, this one works for us. And then with that stakeholder, we'll develop it. So that's looking at our mission, looking at our vision, looking at learning outcomes. What do we want our students to be able to do? And that's all the stakeholders. That's our admin, that's our one small group of people. What do we want them to do? We call it portrait of a graduate, but more importantly, what do we want our students to do and what they leave here? 21st century skills, what does that mean? So that puts that together. That sets the framework going forward on that. And we do look at the systems and the processes, and we will look at benchmarks and measurable goals over 3 years. So we're putting that together, for the future.
And I want to publicly just comment on Dr. McGuan and what she's done in one year. She's done a phenomenal job of just slowly bringing the idea of curriculum to our entire staff. There as a coach, there as a supportive person, and trying to move those rocks to be able to help move towards growth overall. And I can tell you right now, I wish she was here because she can really articulate it up probably better than I can. It's a big task. And to get everybody understanding scope and sequence and the importance of that prior to anything else, that's a heavy lift for 1 year. So our focus has to be predominantly on that and allow the progressional growth to take place.
So I understand that this is a building block process, but I think one of the benefits of having a mid-year discussion is to kind of voice things that might be helpful when we get to the end of the year. And if I'm hearing the conversation correctly, in addition to kind of the narrative, if there's any opportunity to share data to reflect some of the small successes, I think that would help this committee gauge some success when we get to end of the year too. If there's any opportunity for that data.
Yeah.
And I know it's short of MCAS because we won't have that, but anything that we do have that can be applied to the student learning goal, I think we would find helpful.
Yeah, we will have some numbers, so MCAS retest, we talked about those. So as that information comes in, we'll share that out with you. Those are small numbers, but again, those are our most vulnerable students because they're the ones who have to take MCAS over again. So what success are we having with those? And then mid-summer, we'll get the results of our MCAS. It's embargoed, but when we start the school year, it's unembargoed, we can share that out. So, but any measurables,
Just a little bit more of what Jill was saying about having data in front of us. And I think, when teachers have to do their goals, they have to submit evidence. And I think, you mentioned that team meetings, agendas, and minutes are shared house electronically. We need to see that because a lot of your goals, a lot of your evidence says meeting agendas, budget, and so forth. So that's the stuff that we need, at least I need, to effectively assess whether or not those goals have been met. That'd be a big help.
they're online, I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah, even if, right, exactly, that's all, we don't, I don't need 100 pieces of paper.
You scroll all the way back to
Right.
September.
That's great, okay, but I don't have that access, and I don't know if anyone else has that access, but.
No, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
we
thank
can add
you.
on. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep. And that's the other thing, we're getting CC'd on the departmental meetings that you talked about, so the teachers are keeping admin. We met on Monday, these are the things we talked about, so everybody's sharing out. I get the science, I get the math, I get the social studies, and all that. So, yeah, and that's the transparency and communication. So we're excited to see it, we're excited to see, who's attending, that they're talking about progress and where we're going.
Just a curiosity question on goal 2, the system stakeholder committee, you said that anyone who volunteers on that, just out of curiosity, how big is that committee coming on, do you know?
From, is this the student advisory?
No, this is number 2, district improvement, management operations.
Well, it's different for each, say, stakeholder committee. It's different, so Power School has set number, Microsoft and Google.
Oh, it's
so
not
those are
one
different.
committee that's dealing with all of
Nope,
these?
so the scheduling one we put out, how many jumped on scheduling?
Probably 15 individual teachers jump on, 3 teams within that subcommittee. They're looking at various schedule opportunities.
So
looking
there's
at
good
timelines.
participation? I
Yes.
guess that's what I was
Yeah.
driving at.
Correct, you have a
Okay.
PD committee, you have a scheduling committee, we have a calendar committee, we're getting feedback, we're asking for the feedback from the individuals.
The data committee, the data team is 11
Data team, yep.
individuals, yeah, so it varies by which one, so it's not always the same.
Yeah.
We put it out, and we're getting, yeah,
A lot of volunteers.
knock on wood, we're getting a lot of participation. So I would look at that, what do you say, what's the buy-in?
Yep.
If they were buying
And
in.
there's great conversation
I'm
there.
not joining that, I'm not doing it. So each time we ask, they're showing up. So I think the buy-in's there, or to participate. I would say, and be part of it, and have your voice. It's harder to say, well, let me say, it's easier to jump on board if you had a voice in it, and you asked for it, so that's what we're implementing, that's what we're looking at.
If anything, you get collaborative conversation about something that's important, and that's where ideas are generated, because, when you sit alone in one area, there's always a nugget out there that's gonna make us better, more efficient at what we do. And I love just sitting back and watching those conversations take place, and then we put the outcomes together.
So going back to the conversation about helping us gauge success, to me, that little tidbit, telling us the number of people who are involved in those committees, beyond just saying volunteerism, that helps. Because I think that helps us gauge success of what we're talking about. Any other questions or comments on any?
To the chair, yeah, just to piggyback on what you just said, could we go to these committees, could we go to these department heads and say, what does success look like for you if we were to put a number on it? Just more data, more evidence that things are happening. I appreciate this whole conversation, I appreciate all of this effort, but if we don't actually see numbers, and I know we have to wait for the MCAS, and I'm hoping when that comes out, where we just took out Pathfinder, we're on the way to Neshoba Tech. That's my goal personally, but no, we need something to celebrate, and Joe said it earlier, we just need some numbers. I would really like to see that, we can put the systems in place, but they shouldn't take 3 years.
We're just gonna have
to
them
show
before
results.
3 years. Definitely have them before 3 years. Yeah, we're expecting this success on MCAS this year.
Through the chair, even if it was the data that is, I know that it's hard to compare. It's hard to compare the data. You've got different levels of learning. You've got different subject matter. But even if it was what we're talking about, how many students are failing 1 or 2 classes, that kind of data, that would be excellent.
We'll do that, and to answer your question too, our SOA has to have measurable, so again, so the numbers will be in there as we put that stakeholder group together to finalize our SOA. That has to be measurable, so you'll see numbers in there, what we project, how we're closing the gap for students with disability, language learners, and the other groups as well.
Excellent.
So, yeah, so that's all part of it. What I'm saying, like this year, if you want me to say we're gonna increase by 5% across the ELA size, I'm not ready to say it, but we'll have those numbers For the SOA, April 1st, which you all have to approve, so we'll show that. And then, more importantly, for the larger district plan, you'll see that as well. So, yeah, definitely. But in terms of the number of people on the committees, there's numbers, in terms of number of students rallied, we did report out the freshmen and the communication in my director report. We've shared out the seniors, and we do look at that now because what we want to do is whittle that down so there's less and less kids and maybe in our class in the stage. And we'll be able to show that.
Excellent. Through the chair, even attendance data, as you talked about earlier.
That's a good one, yeah, we have it.
That would be a good piece. If they're here, they better be learning something. So even that's acceptable. Thank you.
Good.
Okay.
Next meeting, we report out 31 people came, how many got back, how many days, so we will, February, so we can do that.
All right, thank you everyone for the preparation that went into it. Item C, information and proposals. We have a report from the superintendent director.
So I submitted a written superintendent's report, prepared to answer any questions you have on that. I do want to, because we didn't have a quorum in building, if you'll entertain it, I can go over what we're going to update the building and grounds, section ground. Go with that. Communication tower update. So as you know, Charlton asked us if they could put in a new communication tower and update their emergency communications currently, or historically it's been on our old radio tower, which is sketchy at best. And I'm looking at Tony right now. So we'll dismantle that proposal. When they came to us, we'll dismantle that current tower, make it safe. We'll gain back some turning radius for deliveries in that area. And the new tower will be next to the field house. And it'll be a much more stable tower, and for emergency communications for the town of Charlton, very much improved for them, digital technology on that. They're doing all the site work. They're dismantling the existing tower and making that whole in that area. They're doing the trench work right now, and they delivered the tower pieces this past week.
Yes, sir, the tower was delivered to the back corner of our practice field as far as the corners, we put it. They've been working since our first snowstorm trying to trench, and which involves pumping out the trench every morning, and trying to get some work done in the afternoon. The electricians are doing a fine job there. We negotiated with the town of Charlton, and they are providing for us the conduit, the wiring, the service to our new field house, a three-phase service, which they will draw their tower power from. And as a benefit there, they're providing a generator too, so in the event we have a power outage during a football game, we'll be all set. I don't know when they plan on being completed, but they have made quite a mess out there, and have assured me that when the project's completed, they will regrade, seed, and bring it back to whole.
Make it whole on that. And they're also, as part of the trenching and running the power over there, they're bringing our data cables over so that we can put security cameras on the field house, in the field house, and outside of the field house, and all that as well. So it's a good collaboration with the town of Charlton. They do have a planning board meeting. They sent out a public hearing notification, so February 7th and February 14th, to talk about the communication tower, the site plan review on that as well. So that's in great shape. I think it's great they're taking down the old tower. It's not in great shape. Fieldhouse update. So again, they're bringing over the power on that. It's sided. Any further updates? Interior partitions are in place.
That is correct. Interior partitions are in place. We're waiting for the old tank for the septic before we work on the bathrooms in there. Electrical permit is at the town, waiting on that.
Right. So the tight tank has been approved for that. We're just going to put that out to bid for the installation of the tight tank on that. HVAC update, we're waiting to put out to bid the rooftop unit for advanced manufacturing. So we
We're
put up
hoping to
the,
get that out to bid by the end of the week. Tony and I are reviewing the specifications. It is gonna have to go out as a construction bid.
right, building facility, so. Field update, that's where we're gonna talk about progressing and meeting and setting times to get together for everything as we go into the Gale Associates proposal, as well as getting authorization for me to solicit new solar bids, so that we can see how much solar we can put in there, megawatts, and what the return, the new return rates on that. So, but that will take a meeting done as well.
Okay,
Emotions.
just further, I think in our last meeting during the agenda session, we talked about reporting back in March. And obviously, that's not gonna, probably can't be, there's a pretty intensive list of things. I think you made a recommendation about a lot of input, and which we obviously won't have it for March because we didn't get that tonight, so. We'll have to look at that further down the road, I guess.
If you want to entertain, to the chair, if you want to entertain setting up meetings outside of the Monday night, midweek, or, yeah, let me know, we'll coordinate, come back in the afternoon,
I'll talk to you about that, yeah, that sounds good.
So that's what I had on that, and again, I'll answer any questions on my written report.
Any questions on anything that the superintendent reported out on?
And I do like the idea. I know it's difficult to try to get people together off meetings, but I think it makes sense in some cases this way.
All right, we'll move on to subcommittee reports. First, audit subcommittee, was not here, but I will do this in the update from the audit subcommittee. Budget subcommittee?
Met this evening, excuse me, prior to the monthly school committee meeting. We recommended to the school committee the proposed operating budget, which was passed at this meeting this evening.
Thank you. Building and grounds subcommittee, just had a lengthy conversation there, but Don, anything to add?
Unfortunately, we did not have a scheduled meeting tonight because we didn't have a quorum. So I encourage everyone, if you're on that subcommittee, if you're not sure, you can review the list of people on that so that hopefully next time we can meet, talk a little bit about the field house, I'm sorry, about the field, get that thing moving. But I will be in contact once I speak to Mr. Brennan about possibly meeting before our March meeting, just to go over some of the things so we could have something to bring forth at our March meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Negotiation subcommittee.
We had a meeting a couple weeks ago with the Unit M. I sent out information in regards to that meeting, some paperwork that was labeled confidential so that the members of the subcommittee can review what the proposals are and where we are at. If the members, if there's anybody on the subcommittee who did not receive something, let me know. It was dated January 29. There are 3 meetings coming up, 2 in Zoom, the 12th to 28th, and then in March 20th. Those are the next 3 meetings, so we're in the process of
All right, thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Policy subcommittee.
Nothing to report.
Warrant subcommittee, stated earlier, the warrants hopefully have already made their way around. Future business, just as a reminder, as mentioned earlier, we do have the fiscal year 25 budget hearing to be held prior to our regular meeting in March, and that will take place at 6:30 prior to the regular meeting. And anything that anyone wants to see added to the agenda, please share. I think we did have one follow-up from a few meetings ago when Mr. Packard shared the elevating student learning. I think it was noted at that presentation that we do a follow up in March with progress on that presentation. And then I think, just a curiosity question, would March be the appropriate time to share information about shop selections? I know we normally.
Yes.
About what?
Shop selections for the freshmen.
So that was in the superintendent's report, right? Yeah.
Oh, did I miss it?
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yes. I would say, yeah, sorry, I wrote that and everything in between. Yes, 93%.
Well, yeah, no, this is high level. What I was speaking to was the breakdown across
sheet.
shops, yeah.
Yes, so I can get that to you. I'll email that out. I didn't include it with that because there was still one unfortunate student who was in place, so I can email that out. Jim and I discussed that. So I'll email that as soon as we can.
Okay.
Yes, all freshmen have in place. Pretty good placement rate for first, second, third. Unfortunately, those that didn't get that are upset, duly upset, and we're working through those issues. But I think that sheet that tells
Yeah, okay,
every shop.
thank you. I think that's a good segue into the superintendent remarks.
All right, superintendent remarks. Thank Kirsten for a great report. I will capitalize on the girls' basketball. They did top Abby Kelly 61-25. So they are 12-2 overall and undefeated in the Colonial League, which makes them the Colonial League champions. And also makes them the #1 seed in the state vocational tournament. So kudos to basketball, girls' basketball team on that. And the boys' basketball, I think 3 in a row wins, so 5 in a row.
5 in a row, 8 and 8.
5 in a row. So great rebound on boys basketball. Outside shops, outside work for our communities. Town of Auburn, we provided cookies and a luncheon from Culinary Arts. Town of Charlton, you'll see a common theme here. We provided a luncheon by Culinary Arts. Charlton Police Department. Property evidence received by Graphic Communications and Second Chance in North Brookfield. We detailed their band and did some clothing with their logos on it. That was both by Automotive Collision and Graphic Communications. I did talk about the planning board meeting on the site plan review for the communication towers that's going on here. And I did talk that we have 21 students interested in joining the committee, superintendent and principals advisory committee for that.
Dave, we can start with you.
I'm all set, thank you.
I just want to about this card. What is this all about?
Yes, yes, sorry. Ms. Velaka, Valerie Velaka, library media specialist, put this together and wants, if anybody's interested in coming in for a World War II to see the interactive they put together. This was, I believe, a grant fund that they used to put this together.
I don't know.
Yeah. But it's a collaborative presentation by cosmetology, culinary history, and the library. So it's a journey through the Pacific and European battle mapping and the home front life with rationing in 1940s kitchen. So she just opened it up to anybody who wants to come in and see that.
Any time of the day?
No, it's right on there, February 15th and 16th, and I think it will be run through the day, right? I will find that. Oh, yeah, history.
I don't know if it's inappropriate because I'm collaborating with Val on it. So it's a project-based learning that we're doing with our modern world history curriculum. The interactive display will be up there all day that entire week. On the Thursday and Friday is when we'll have the snacks and stuff that Culinary is making. So if you want to come by for ration recipe, sugar cookies, and Spam, there you go. But yeah, Val is excellent. She put together a lot of primary source documents and artifacts, and she's done an amazing job. So that'll be there in case anyone's in the neighborhood.
Is this an actual copy of a card?
Yeah, it's a facsimile of one.
Was there really a Miss Alice M. Myers,
Yeah,
Connecticut.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she actually went thrifting this weekend and she found some med kits and all sorts of firsthand evidence that we're gonna be showing the kids, so she's doing an
So
excellent job.
what has spiked this interest in World War II, basically?
Yeah.
What spiked this?
Oh,
interest?
it's just part of our curriculum
Yeah,
with the juniors.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking about that, Helen. You probably weren't the only one that had questions, I'm sure.
I'm all set.
So here, thank you.
Special note, I bumped into Nancy Wilby over the weekend. She wanted me to express to the school committee support that you showed her and her family following Bob's death. So she was, couldn't say enough. So it was very nice talking to you.
Other than apologizing for being tardy tonight, was unexpected for singing.
The demerits in the mail. The demerits in the mail.
Well, the Polish club in town has been over 100 years in existence. We didn't have a meeting last year, the membership. The leaders didn't want to have a meeting. They're trying to destroy the club. And we found out it was up for auction this coming Wednesday, so I had a lot of tap dancing going to old former board members. And looks like we're gonna save it, but it's a surprise, come up with.
Well, good luck. Enjoy it.
Through the chair, thank you for the reports tonight, especially this initiative to increase student learning, put ourselves in a better position. Congratulations to the sports teams for wrapping up the season, and not wrapping it up, but winding it down in a great way with all the victories, especially up the street with the boys and the senior girls in the tournament. I want to personally thank you for your report. That's all. Thank you.
All set?
Okay.
Thank you.
All set? I have nothing to add.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
Motion made, seconded, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.